I'm not trying to record right now. Why is it recording? Ugh. I am not trying to record right now. Why is this thing recording? Well, since it's recording, let's see. I'm withdrawing from my personal health class HPER 363 because my professor, Charles F. Gary Jr., PhD, told me that he wouldn't fund any group I belong to. Um, uh, why would I take offense to something like that? Well, you know, dude has been marginalizing me all semester, and I'm an adult. I am so adult. I don't need to take that kind of treatment. And if dude wants to treat me in an inhospitable fashion, that's on him. Um, and I just wanted to make a record of it. Not right now, but since I am, oh well. um, he used to call me names. Actually, he used to call me names that weren't my name. Instead of calling me by my name Robert, he'd call me Roger or um, Roberto. To invalidate who I am as Robert. Uh, and he knew that calling someone else by something other than their name does not invalidate. I mean, does not validate that person and who that person's conceptions of themselves. And he used his training against me to fuck up my brain. He can't. I'm an adult. I paid for like in just instances while I'm leaving, I paid for another student's testing, and which he encouraged me to do after the student just told me she couldn't afford to pay me back. I looked at the teacher and he just shrugged. Um, he made fun of me in class about my personality quotients projected. I never took them, and he was making fun of the my final assessments or something that just never were. Um, he always used to talk about this woman named Barbara Bullock. I think he's sexually attracted to her because he keeps on mentioning all the little things that they're going to do together very, very uh, um, carefully. And he had to be there, I guess, to see that. Um, every class, he was always talking about the divorce he's going through, and that's the last thing I want to hear because I'm there for class, not to hear about his goofy divorce and why he wants to break up his marriage. I don't trust people who break up their marriages just because if you can't make it in one relationship, how do you expect to make it in another one? If you're going to be unfaithful to one relationship, chances are you're going to be unfaithful to all of your relationships. And he's talking about how great his kids are, his strong angels are in comparison to the seedy stepkids that he has. Oh well. Um, uh, yeah, so like in this one presentation I gave for myself and three other students, I did their homework, and I just wanted the girls to read their part, but uh, they didn't. Two of them didn't, and it kind of left a drag in what we were supposed to be doing. And I spent some money on that class to distribute chips to the classroom, big bags of chips, in case our presentation sucked. And then it didn't. And then we went throughout the class and discussed each chapter with the class. And I disclosed too much personal information about my family, that they were racist and all that. And which brought me to hysterical tears because no one wants to admit that their family's racist. And Professor Gary offered no support and no closure. And he's a professional. He knows how to handle these things, and he neglected to. So I remember coming to his classroom several times, saying hello to him, and he completely ignored me. And one of his favorite slurs in class is "no homo." I mean, it's fun and it's funny if you're a student and you say it, or on YouTube and you say it. But when you're an instructor, there are certain things, there are certain patterns of speech patterns that you cannot imitate, namely slurs. You know, if he doesn't want anyone calling him a nigger, he shouldn't be calling anyone no homo. And basically, by saying no homo to the class, he was letting the class know that he's not comfortable with homosexuals, and I'm an open homosexual in class, everywhere else too, because I'm queer, you know. He used to like offer 100 points for people to go on um, extra credit excursions to social events at the school, and he offered 1 point to go to the Taste of Latino because it was he perceived that it was a Mexican function, and it wasn't. It was predominantly 98% predominantly Hispanic black function. You know, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominican Republicans, Peruvians, focusing all on them and their culture, and they're his people. He's black, they're black. You know, he should have taken interest in that, and instead you know, he was lumping all the Hispanics together as one race rather than one set of three ethnicities. You know, the Asians are some Asians are Filipino. Filipino is Hispanic Asian. Mexicans are Hispanic white, and the rest of them are Hispanic. Not the rest of them. Out of the ones at the school were Hispanic black. You know, of the participating in Taste of Latino. Anyway, he offered me 100 points to go try for cheerleaders, and I almost did until I realized that he was, you know, mocking me. Um, I remember when he was approached to say something about a lesbian group on campus in their behalf. He didn't want to because they're lesbian, didn't want to deal with the whole homo stuff and or gay stuff. And um, when I voiced my opinion, good, because you know the lesbians on campus were very cruel to me. He all of a sudden was like very enthusiastic about supporting the lesbians. You know, what can he do? And I regret informing his class, you know, in his announcements. He welcomes students to give announcements, and I announced that I was the co-editor-in-chief of this particular school magazine to please submit work. When I did that, he said, open quote, "I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm in charge of funding for that magazine, and I think I'm going to decline funding this semester for the printing of spirits. No, I'll decide right now. I'm going to deny funding for the printing of spirits this semester," close quote. Yeah, an executive decision like that has to be made in a meeting appropriate to that type of financial decision. And he does not have the exclusive decision to make those kind of decisions. He has to take a vote, and in this particular important meeting to distribute funding, and it's not like it's his money, it's the school's money. He just denied my club or organization money because I'm in it. Okay, can we say bigot? Um, I documented all of his treatment toward me, and mostly because, you know, it's inhospitable treatment. It's completely insolent, um, and this documentation is why I remember what he did, because otherwise I would have forgot. I've completely tried to blot out what he did. But he just doesn't like who he thinks I am. What can he, you know, what can I do? And I think the reason I'm recording this video now, is because I want to make a record of his habitual exclusion of me, and which is the reason, or which is the, yeah, these are the reasons for me withdrawing from his class. I don't want to tolerate that type of behavior from a person who supposedly earned his doctorates. So what can you do? You know, I mean, I'm not the only student that has experienced bad teachers. Bad teachers or bad instructors happen to everyone. Um, I'm just fortunate to withdraw and not let his stupidity confound my grade point average.